Evening guys, so coming to you from the Sean Henry Engineering Workshop. I'm obviously Sean Henry. Massive update I need to give you. You will have seen the video I posted the other day about the part 1 of the engine rebuild. That's, as I said, one of a series of videos to come because there was so much footage that I accumulated, but I just wasn't in the right headspace to actually be posting it, so I didn't ever get around to editing or anything else. So it's all sitting there waiting to be done, but just bear with me and I'll do it as and when I get time to. At the moment, it's become full steam ahead because we've got a new little goal and target that we really can't miss. And yeah, so I'm just going to show you this magazine, Practical Classics. This is the March edition. I think it was out in January. And what's important about this particular one, if I find page number 32, if I've got my head on screwed on properly today. So it. There is it. That's 40. It's a bit further back than that. Oh, it's always a pain. You can never do things just how quickly you would want to when you're on a video. I swear. 41, there we go. 36, 32, there we go. And you might even think that this car looks a little bit familiar. There we go. So back in October, they came and did some photographs, and we really were battling against the light that day because it was a bit late in the day by the time I got here. But yeah, that is an article about this car, telling you a little bit about what's been done on it. And to be honest, the day that he came, you always see you have to try and tell as much as you can. He stood there with a voice recorder, and to be honest with you, my mind went completely blank, and there was so much I hadn't told him about what I'd done to it that I ended up writing a massive long email. It must be about 2 A4 pages worth, with just a complete timeline of when I'd done things and how much it cost me, what I'd had to how resourceful I had to be at times to be able to find bits or make parts for the car and stuff like that. And yeah, it was a real nice day, and it was in fact literally 2 weeks before I actually took the car off the road. And something I really want to show you about this particular article is the very first paragraph. If I do that there, you won't be able to read it, I very much doubt, because this is never going to focus, as I thought. But the bit I want to really explain is the part where it says, where is it? I've got Mark 1, Mark 2, 5, and obviously Mark 1, as I've said before, I'd spent 8 years finding that car because I was obsessed with it when I was 11 years old. I got one when I was 19. Eventually you get what you want if you look hard enough for it, and sort of just look for really what you want, because obviously didn't want a rusty version, wanted one that was nice and good to go, which I managed to get eventually. But the important part I'm wanting to mention is I got the 10 because of the fact of I own old cars because they provide stimulation that keeps me sane, and while the Mark 1 is off the road, I need something to be able to provide that for me, because otherwise you sort of have a really rubbish day and don't really know what to do with yourself, really. It just ends up quite tragic, really. But yeah, I got this car because I'd always fancied something rear engined and rear wheel drive, and I've got this thing for having something rather unusual, as we know. And obviously an MX-5 would be rear wheel drive, but it's pretty common. A Beetle's rear engine rear wheel drive, but again, that's a bit common. So yeah, coming across this car was quite a blessing in disguise. It was basically my favourite brand of classic car. I know them quite well because obviously they've all got virtually the same engine in them. And added to the nice Renault collection I got. So yeah, now something I want to go into a bit more detail about today is, if you can see what it says on that little blue circle, Practical Classics Restorer of the Year 2020. So I didn't actually realise this at the time, but when this car was, I guess it was when it was published, it's entered into something that's called the Restorer of the Year Award. And basically, from what I can understand, the public votes for who they want to win it, basically. I don't know if any judges have any say in it or anything like that, but that's as far as I know. So it's basically all the public vote. Now, I'm absolutely stunned to be able to tell you that I think Thursday, yeah, I was contacted on Tuesday, and basically asked, can you definitely clarify the car and yourself be able to get to the show on such and such date? I was like, absolutely, yes. If you want it there, I'll get it here somehow. You have to push it up there. And I then received confirmation a couple of days later, which you might have seen on the Instagram page and Facebook page if you follow them. The car has made it to the final 8. And I can never remember off the top of my head how many cars are actually in this competition. But to say that I'm absolutely delighted and really much appreciate the votes I must have got to be able to achieve the final 8 cars is an absolute understatement. I really can't believe it. The email popped up and I literally, saw it pop up and pulled over on the very first place I could find to stop when I was out in the van. And wow, I could not believe that my car's one of the final 8. Couldn't believe it. Because at the end of the day, the car's not been done to look perfectly pretty. It's been done to basically work and function as what I need it to, basically. It's not been done to look absolutely perfect. It's not been professionally painted, not been professionally worked on by anyone. It's purely been a backyard garage build and built out of spare parts from my hoarded parts collection. Where the hell is that page I'm looking for? You know, this is just so classic. It's definitely in these magazines somewhere. Can you find it when you want it? Of course you can't. It's here somewhere. This is the part where, because these pages are so thin. Here we go. What? Okay. There's 26 cars. I've been one of the final 8. How the hell have I made that? I've not looked at this page enough. There's 26 cars on this page. How the hell am I in the final 8 of that? Wow! I don't believe that. I'm in the final 8 of that lot. And in fact, actually, there would be 27 because my car wasn't actually included on that list. And initially, it wasn't actually on the voting page on the website either. It was after a few friends of mine said, why is it not there? It suddenly appeared. Oh, wow. How the hell has it ended up in the final 8? That's incredible. I'm absolutely stunned by that. I've genuinely not realised that till now. So it's, mine would be 27th. So it's come above all the other 19. How the hell has it done that? I don't even know how it's possible. But yeah, I've received that information on Thursday. At that point, there's a laugh. It had no head on it. And the rest of it, well, yeah, you can probably guess the rest. So suddenly, on Thursday, I had exactly a month to get this car done. And considering the fact that the engine was on the stand over there, no head on, no rockers, no push rods, no nothing. Yeah. So you could say sort of had to pull the finger out, just get your head in gear and just get on with it. And that's exactly what I've done. Yesterday, I spent all day out here and got the engine back into the car. And this morning, it actually fired up for the very first time. And I'll probably have to re-record a bit of footage for you because the language on that video is a bit blue because I was so, it works, it runs. Because I've never ever rebuilt an engine myself at home before. I've never paid anyone else to do it either. This is the very first full engine rebuild I've ever had in a car. So to say that I'm absolutely stunned beyond relief that that thing runs is beyond it, really. Yeah. Absolutely stunned. But it makes you feel one step closer to being back behind the wheel driving it. And I'll change to a shot with the engine itself now so that I can basically tell you a little bit about the little fettling we had to do to get it to run again, because it wasn't as plain sailing as it probably looks on TV. So I'm going to show you now. Right, so obviously this is the engine, and you're going to be a bit stunned because last time you saw this bay, there was absolutely nothing in it at all, was there? Friday night, or in fact Thursday night, sorry, the tank area behind that panel was all completely given a good clean up and then undersealed. Friday night the tank went back in and it's all been bolted back together between the axle and the rear chassis. And then yesterday we finished off, went over the tappets, made sure I was happy with those. What else did I do? Made sure the rock cover was definitely clean enough to be refitted. It's not painted, I grant that, but that's going to come later. At the moment, the main priority with this engine is the fact that because the lines have been taken out and they've been refitted, obviously you've got to make sure everything's all in within tolerance, so it all works properly. And the trouble is if anything's wrong with the liners, the head and the sump are coming back off. And therefore, I decided that this weekend, this thing had to run. Because unless I've run it, I cannot guarantee that everything is, as I say, hunky-dory inside. And obviously, if it has to come apart, it's going to be a fair chunk of time and work to do that again. So, yeah, that's why it's been really pushed this week to try and get it back to... battery's just on the phone, typical. That's why it's been really pushed the last couple of days to go from an engine on stand without a head on it to this. So, yeah, it's been really pushed the last few days, but as you can see, it's been well worth it, because we've now got an engine all back in, and it has run this morning. It was only for about 10-15 seconds, but we got it there eventually. So the first thing we did, looking down there, is a wire going to the block, and I'll try to put a little arrow on that in the editor if you like. That's the oil pressure sensor, and the first priority I had before even trying the ignition system and the fuel was making sure that when we cranked it over, the light on the dashboard went out, because that tells you the oil's got round it circulated. And we did also, because I'd run out of oil where I'd been dabbing in a bottle of oil for all the bearings, I hadn't quite got enough left in that bottle. So what we did consequently was we went this morning and got some oil from Halford's, topped up the last little bit, which therefore means that it was then up to the maximum mark. I think it was a bit over actually, because that just covers you for the fact that obviously all the internal galleries and stuff have got to be filled up as well, and the oil filter for that matter. So you've obviously had to fill the filter up, all the galleries, so it took quite some time actually, now I think about it, to get the pressure light to go out. Initial idea I did have was to use a starter dog that I fitted down here on the pulley, but it turns out that for some strange reason, the handle I've got, where is it? It's down here. The handle I've got just down here is actually not quite long enough, and it's literally wax on the bumper here. So that was a bit of a damn. So I ended up just cranking it over on the starter motor itself until we got that sorted out. That eventually went out, and then we started messing around with the rest of it. And obviously cranking it over, prime that filter up nicely, and that one there obviously. We've got, because I work on generators every day, and they've got multiple filters in so many places, and sometimes it drives you a little bit crazy, because you're like, how many filters can one engine bloody take? And so what I've done is, I've gone with the same idea on this engine, because I don't want any dirt getting in this. I didn't want it before, and I put the extra filters in to help capture all the dirt and stop it getting the carburetor and causing chaos. But I've left it all in place. Got to make a bracket for that one yet, because it's literally cable tied around the fuel filler neck, as you do. And then you've got the inline one here. Now, these are brilliant things, these ones, because these you can unscrew and clean the elements, so they're not a throwaway item. They're about double the price. I think they're about £8 rather than like £4 from the local shop. But you take that out and you can wash it with a bit of petrol, easy peasy. So you save yourself an absolute fortune of cash, especially when you've got a car like this that was being so temperamental with dirt in the system. So, but yeah, the first issue we had when we were trying to start it, we got the fuel up, and obviously that's first part of the recipe for getting it to run. The second part was the ignition system, and what we ended up doing on that. Have I got the old points laying somewhere, or did I launch them? Oh no, wow, found them. Hang on. Okay. So I don't even know what's wrong with these things, because I haven't even bothered to look. I just ripped the things out. But basically, Can we hold that in my hand in such a way you can see what the hell I'm talking about? So that point there, that's even worse. There we go. So that point on the end there where my finger is, when I was testing out if we had a spark or not, there was a very weak one, and what I chose to do was, some time ago I was at Enfield Pageant, and in the Auto Jumble I managed to pick up a new complete set of points and condenser for £1.50. That's what I call a good deal. So stuck that straight in about 2 or 3 minutes, and then tried it again. Still didn't have any joy. These are actually a set of plug leads I bought for the Mark 1, because the ones on that are the original ones are starting to go a little bit dodgy, and I've ended up nicking them for this one because they were just sitting here not doing anything, so I've just chucked them on. And that goes also for the cap, because this one should have the connections that go straight upwards, but the cap, I decided let's just try and change that as well. And changing the points and the cap, and obviously fitting the new leads, we suddenly had a spark at the spare spark plug I was hitting on the rocker cover. And as soon as we put it back in, I tightened the distributor up slightly because it was literally falling apart and just wallowing around the whole time, wouldn't stay still. And next thing we did was just sat here pumping this for a little while, and suddenly it just tried to fire. And I'm not gonna lie, that was a happy moment indeed, because it was like, this thing is actually going to go today. And then I think it was quite literally the next time I tried it, and it fired straight into life. Apart from the fact that it didn't decide to run very long, because I'm guessing it was a bit cold and there was nothing to keep the carburettor giving it the fuel it wanted. So consequently it just stopped. And might be because also I tried to tweak the timing at the same time, because it had a minute little misfire. And that's either timing or because I've actually had to use the old spark plugs for the time being, because I hadn't remembered to pick some new ones up. So, and typical me, one of the spark plugs, the bit on the end of the electrode had bent down too much. So I opened it up with a pair of pliers, and hopes by judging it by eye it was about right. And the fact that it ran on 4 cylinders earlier, I can't have been far off. So, yeah, there's going to be plenty left to do now. But the main priority at the moment is to, I'm going to go check the points, get it running again, check the points, check the plug gaps, make sure it all runs absolutely sweet as a nut on 4 cylinders. And that should in theory mean that we've got everything okay. Because if we have a misfire, which isn't ignition related, then it will be possibly down to compression. But being a brand new engine, it's actually slightly harder to say, because of the fact of obviously nothing's bedded in, so everything's running down completely brand new surfaces. And whereas you pick up an old engine, you stick them all down the boards, you spin it over, you get it running, and the compression will increase like that. This is obviously a brand new engine, so I'm not quite 100% certain how that will work. But the way it was cranking earlier, it's definitely got plenty of compression, which is always a bonus. So what I'll do is I'll get all the make all the fine tune adjustments on the spark plug and the points, and also time it up, because I haven't timed it up at all yet, and go from there. So okay guys, you ready for this? To hear this phone this morning was the best thing I've ever heard in my entire life, I tell you now. I built this engine completely at home myself. Look at that. It is running completely. Look at that. Absolutely phenomenal. Let's turn it off because there's no coolant in it yet, but as you can tell, it's running absolutely gloriously. So there you have it, guys. The car is running. It just needs to have the cooling system done. And then I can make all the fine-tune adjustments and make sure that everything's all hunky-dory. Take it for a test drive hopefully very soon. And see you at the NEC in 3.5 weeks now. So if you would like to see this car win the Restore of the Year award, it would, I think you can already tell from the tone of the videos before this one that it would mean one hell of a lot. The fact that it's already gone to the final 8 is phenomenal and beyond what I could ever imagine it would ever do, because it's one of those sort of I suppose runt cars, because very few people have one, very few people see one, and most people look at it and say, oh, it's a Renault, it's rubbish in the first place. But the fact it's made it to the final 8 is beyond my imagination. I could never have even, I honestly never thought it would ever make the final 8, but I'm absolutely stunned it has. So, but I'm absolutely delighted that engine started today. It sounds absolutely wicked, and I cannot be waiting. I can't wait to take it out on the road, hear that thing purr away like a kitten, because it just sounds absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, it would mean absolute world to me if the car did win, and I really appreciate every single person who has already voted, because honestly, it is all down to every single one of you who's been kind enough to vote for it that's got it to this stage. And yeah, thank you so much for that. It's really nice to feel like other people have appreciated the amount of hard work that's gone into it, because it's not the prettiest one of the lot, it's not the tidiest restoration either, but it is a car that's been built from a spares pile in a backyard garage with a lot of resourcefulness gone into it, because when you're on a very small budget like I am, or on a quite tight budget, you do have to get quite inventive at times to be able to achieve what you need to. And it's like the carburetor linkage, which I actually modified an original part to make it all work, because it was the only way I was going to have a part that would work. So yeah, and the radiator, which I made a completely bespoke bracket for, just so I could fit it to the car and save myself a good few £100, because an original radiator for this car is north of £300, and by doing it the way I did it, I managed to get that down to less than 50. So it really saved the project, really saved me, got it on the road working without overheating. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm putting it back as it is. I'm not going to change it, because everything I've done to this car has made it unique to me as a person, and that's one thing I love about restoring cars. Sometimes you either find a car that really suits you down to a T in the first place, or you restore one that's already sort of been modified and messed around with, like this one has been. And although it's nice to have an original car, sometimes having that car that's already messed about with is actually quite a blessing in disguise, because it gives you that sort of free will, if you like, in some ways, to go all out, go a bit crazy, and just make it what you want it to be. And that's exactly what I've done with this car. I made it the exact sort of car that I'd love to have, and well, I have it now, haven't I? So thank you so much for your votes, and I'll see you at the restoration show. See you soon.